Alex Carmen. My name is Alex Carmen and I work for the Department of Public Service. I will be your MC for the workshop today. We have 6 agencies presenting information about programs to help New Yorkers manage their winter heating bills, become more energy efficient, and stay safe this winter. The goal of this workshop is to provide you with a one-stop shop for information, materials, and resources that can help you and your constituents during this winter season. Please note that the webinar is being recorded and the recording will be made available soon. We provided slides to those who pre-registered electronically. For those who did not pre-register and would like a copy of the slides, we will provide more details on how you can obtain the slides at the end of the webinar. We have a full program today, but before we turn it over to our presenters, I would like to make some brief introductions. On the panel today, we have staff from the Division of Housing and Community Renewal, or HCR, the New York Power Authority, or NYPA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, or NYSERDA, the New York State Office for the Aging, or NYSOFA, the New York State Department of Public Service, or DPS, and last but not least, the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, or OTDA. There are 2 ways you can ask questions to the presenters during today's event. The first method is to enter a question into the Q&A box during the workshop. Please note the presenter or agency to which your question relates. The second method is to pose your question during an open question and answer session after all agencies have made their presentations. Questions that are entered during the presentations will be answered then. I will now hand the microphone over to our first speaker today. Rebecca Hess from HCR is here to discuss weatherization programs. Rebecca, please start us off today.
Thank you so much and good afternoon. As Alex mentioned, my name is Rebecca Hess. I am the Field Operations Manager for the Weatherization Program at New York State Homes and Community Renewal. And today I'm going to be speaking about the Weatherization Assistance Program. Okay, you can go to the next slide, please. Some basics about the Weatherization Program. The intent is to increase energy efficiency in housing occupied by low-income persons. All types of residential housing can be assisted by the Weatherization Program. This includes multifamily housing, single-family housing, owner-occupied, mobile homes, etc. There is a strong quality assurance component and a strong emphasis on health and safety. The Weatherization Program receives funding through the U.S. Department of Energy and Health and Human Services through the LIHEAP funding. Our income eligibility for the program follows the HEAP income guidelines, which is 60% of the state median income. Okay, you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, weatherization funding. So New York State Homes and Community Renewal, or HCR, receives an annual allocation. The annual funding is provided by the U.S. Department of Energy, which is the weatherization portion of our funding, and the U.S. Health and Human Services, which is the LIHEAP funding. Our regular annual allocation between 2022 and 2024 for the weatherization program was about $77.5 million. And with this funding, about 7,000 units will be served. We also received additional funding through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, or bill, and we received about $289 million. And with this funding, we project that we will be serving about 18,000 units. The weatherization program has an average cost per unit of approximately $8,000. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, program structure. So services are delivered by our nonprofit partners, or we refer to them as subgrantees. Households with incomes at or below 60% of the state median income are eligible for assistance. Assisted households are HEAP clients, and priority is given to seniors, persons with disabilities, and families with children. Eligibility and building qualification rules. For multifamily buildings, at least 66% of the building residents must be low income and meet our income guidelines. For multifamily buildings, there is a component of owner participation as well. So Owners generally provide an owner investment of 25% of the cost of the weatherization work scope. And there are also tenant protections built into the program when multifamily buildings are weatherized. Details on the process and timing are included in our policy and procedure manual, or our PPM. Okay, next slide, please. Some typical weatherization measures. So prior to the work beginning, an energy audit is conducted. The investment into a building is determined by the energy audit. Each energy measure that is installed must be cost effective. Some typical measures that may be included in a weatherization work scope include addressing the heating system, air sealing, insulation. This would be both attic and sidewall insulation. Electric base load reduction. This could include more efficient lighting. Health and safety work. This could include things such as the installation of carbon monoxide detectors and smoke alarms, and incidental repairs. Okay, you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, there are standards and protocols that guide the weatherization program. We have a policy and procedures manual, or our PPM, which is our document that outlines the policies and procedures involved with the delivery of the weatherization program. There are standard work specifications that guide how the work is to be done. We have the weatherization field guide, which also provides information on the standards that weatherization work should meet. Quality control inspections. So we have a quality control inspection is done on every completed building to ensure the quality of work and to ensure that the work meets our required standards. Weatherization also encompasses other state and federal requirements. We follow procurement requirements such as formal bidding. Where applicable, buildings would go through the historic review process through the State Historic Preservation Office, or SHPO. And there is also the utilization of minority and women-owned businesses, or MWBEs. Okay, next slide, please. Renewables and other innovative measures. So the program received some additional funding recently. We received about $34 million through the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. Our ARPA program focused on enhanced measures that furthered the goals of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, or the CLCPA. With these funds, there was an additional emphasis on health and safety measures. And through this program, we completed 1,406 units. There is also the Sustainable Energy Resources for Consumers, or SERC funding, that is being delivered through our program and subgrantees right now. There's about $1.4 million. And this funding will provide solar thermal domestic hot water and heat pumps to approximately 150 units. Okay, next slide, please. Maintaining the whole house approach. So weatherization works because it addresses the whole building. Weatherization also facilitates the coordination with other programs, maximizes energy savings, identifies health, safety, and structural concerns, and also leveraging other funding. Okay, next slide, please. Healthy homes and weatherization. So this is an important part of the weatherization program too. So subgrantees must defer work where extensive hazards exist that cannot be addressed with weatherization funds, such as like structural issues. Trained weatherization staff work lead safe to minimize risks during the installation of efficiency measures. Trained weatherization staff also identify and, where possible, will correct mold, moisture, and other asthma triggers. And indoor air quality issues such as carbon monoxide are also addressed. And indoor air quality testing is done before, during, and after the work. Okay, next slide, please. So non-energy benefits. Weatherization does provide substantial non-energy benefits as well. And for every $1 of weatherization funding that is invested, the return is about $2.51. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, there is increased accountability and work quality. Our policy and procedure manual is updated regularly to incorporate new regulations, policies, and guidance. There are initiatives that ensure the quality of the program, such as quality work plans, and the weatherization work meets published standard work specifications. Those working on the program must complete ongoing training and maintain certifications. There is oversight and monitoring of the program, so annual evaluations are completed. And there is also an ongoing regular compliance monitoring that's done of the program. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, and here's our contact information. You can contact us here. This is the email address and phone number for our general weatherization line. You can also contact me directly as well, and here is my direct contact information. So I'd just like to thank you all so much for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I'm now going to turn it back over to Alex.
Thank you, Rebecca. Very informative. Next, we have Amy Liang from the New York Power Authority to discuss environmental justice, energy education, and weatherization workshops. Amy, please begin.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Liang, and I am the Environmental Justice Program Coordinator at the New York Power Authority. Next slide, please. So NYPA is the largest state public power utility in the nation, and we operate 16 generating facilities. And actually more than 80% of the electricity that we produce is from clean, renewable hydropower. And our mission is really to lead New York's economic development through our projects across the state. Next slide, please. So within our environmental justice programs, we're driven by our commitment to be a good neighbor to the historically disadvantaged communities near our facilities. So within EJ, we operate under 4 main pillars. We have STEM education, adult energy literacy, outreach and advocacy, as well as energy efficiency service projects. Next slide, please. Within our environmental adult energy literacy program, we offer these energy education and weatherization workshops to organizations that are located in environmental justice communities. Next slide, please. So we travel across the state to teach low to no cost ways for participants to conserve energy and lower their utility bills while also improving the comfort in their homes. So these workshops feature interactive hands-on learning. We feature demonstrations on, weatherizing our doors and our windows, the main areas for energy loss. These workshops are about an hour to an hour and a half long, an hour and a half long. Food is provided, and then we also provide a free weatherization energy kit along with a step-by-step manual. So all the participants will be able to apply the techniques that they learn during the workshop, and they'll be able to go home with the kits and the tools that they can use at home. Next slide, please. So in these weatherization kits, they include all the different tools and materials that you see on your screen here. And again, we try to address kind of the cost element to a lot of the work that you can do at home. Next slide. So these workshops really help support the community as a whole. They help to alleviate and address the high energy burden that oftentimes our low or middle income families face. They demonstrate simple and renter-friendly demonstrations that don't require tools or permanent damage in your homes. And then also they're free of cost for your organizations and participants to participate in. Next slide. So we have 4 main topics that we focus on for the workshop. So we start off with heating and cooling. That's a big focus for us. This is where we kind of walk folks through the different ways to apply and install a window, insulating film, door sweeps, weather stripping, all the different things that are included. We also talk about water conservation, energy efficiency appliances, lighting, and then we also provide resources that are local to the community. Next slide. So our goals really is to help the participants identify the biggest energy users within their homes, apartments, house, what have you. We help them answer any questions that they have and address any energy concerns that they have. And then we also help them to identify actions that they can take and develop an action plan so they have something to do, some homework after the workshop. Next slide, please. So here's a list of some of our stakeholders. Of course, it's not limited to these groups. I want to emphasize that we're happy to work with you and address any barriers to the participants as well. So a big part of it could be language barriers, and we are able to address that. We have a Spanish educator on staff that can host the workshops in Spanish. And then we also, for the other languages, we can provide all the materials in any language that is needed, but then we just kind of work with the stakeholder group to have them provide a translator or a facilitator during the workshop. Next slide, please. So to partner with us, all you have to do is reach out to us at environmental.justice@nypa.gov. And I believe that we will be sharing these contacts out to everyone on this call today. But I also want to note that these workshops are held in specifically designated underserved communities. So all you have to do is reach out to us, and then we'll verify on our end if your organization falls within our catchment area. After that, we'll work with you to coordinate the date, time, and location. We'll create a flyer. And then I just want to emphasize that we lean on the stakeholder to collect registrations for the event. And during the event, I will be educating, and I'll be there. So any support is covered on our end. Next slide, please. So here is our contact information. Mine is on the one, is the second email there. And again, you can get our email and contact information after this call. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Alex. Thank you so much for having NYPA on this call today.
Thank you, Amy. Next up, we have Eric Gilbert from NYSERDA to discuss the Empower Plus program. Eric will be followed by his NYSERDA colleague, Jessica Ortiz, who will discuss NYSERDA's regional clean energy hubs. Eric and Jessica, please begin.
Great, thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everyone. NYSERDA is pleased to be asked to present as part of this winter workshop series. Again, my name is Eric Gilbert. I am a project manager with NYSERDA's single-family residential team. And today I will be providing you with an overview of NYSERDA's 1 to 4 family low to moderate income program, Empower Plus. Up first, some program background on Empower Plus. Empower Plus was launched in July of this year and provides low and moderate income households across the state with access to free home energy assessments, no cost direct install measures, and incentive dollars for energy efficiency upgrades. Our current focus with Empower Plus is making sure homes have sufficient insulation levels to ease the burden when transitioning from fossil fuel heating systems to heat pump equipment. For those of you historically familiar with the NYSERDA residential programs, Empower Plus is the result of a years-long effort to integrate assisted home performance and Empower New York into one program offering. For over a decade, assisted home performance and Empower New York were run as separate programs, and slowly over time we worked to unify the program components into one cohesive offering, which serves both low and moderate income homes. Currently, Empower Plus has a network of around 200 participating contractors who complete around 18,000 projects each year. Next slide, please. What are income eligible households eligible for through Empower Plus? Both low and moderate income households can receive a no-cost home energy assessment. The home energy assessment looks at the major systems of the home and identifies opportunities for energy efficiency improvements. As part of the assessment, contractors can also install no-cost direct install measures, including LED lighting, weather stripping, and thermostats. Following the assessment, Empower Plus provides incentives toward building shell improvements like air sealing and insulation, replacement of inefficient refrigerators and freezers, and repair or replacement of heating and hot water systems. If replacement is warranted, the prioritization is on the utilization of heat pump technology. Also, an added benefit through Empower Plus is the household's ability to request a quality assurance inspection for up to 1 year following the completion of the work. Typically, the program inspects around 15% of all project completions each year, and this is through a combination of customer-requested quality assurance inspections and the random selection of completed projects by the program for inspection. Next slide, please. Who is eligible for Empower Plus? The program is open to both owners and renters of 1 to 4 family existing homes. If a renter applies, they will be limited to non-comprehensive efficiency measures unless they have permission from the building owner or landlord. Empower Plus can serve buildings over 4 units through our special projects program. Special projects are for smaller garden-style apartments and townhouse complexes of five or more units that are constructed and act like a 1 to 4 family home. For income requirements, Empower Plus serves low-income households earning less than 60% of the state median income. This is in line with other efficiency programs like HEAP and the weatherization programs. Moderate income households can also be served. These are households that earn between 60 and 80% of the area or state median income, whichever is higher. Through Empower Plus, households have access to incentives, which have a set cap within a 3-year look-back period. For example, a low-income single-family home is eligible for up to $10,000 in incentive dollars. If a customer had a project completed 2 years ago and they only used $6,000, they can come back within that 3-year period and have additional work completed until the remaining $4,000 is expended. Next slide, please. Actually, can you go back 1 slide? I think I might have skipped one. Oh, okay. No, next slide, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Actually, can you go to the one that says low-income households? Sorry. There you go. Through Empower Plus, there are currently 2 incentive levels, and they are based upon the household income. For low-income households, the program is covering 100% of the project cost up to the program caps. Given that NYSERDA is covering the project cost, program has set pricing for most measures with an upstate and downstate pricing structure. For single-family homes, the incentive cap is $10,000. Certain funding sources do allow for a cap of up to $20,000 if heat pump equipment is being installed or the home will be made heat pump ready. For 2 to 4 family homes, the project is eligible for the initial $10,000, and from there, each income eligible unit is eligible for an additional $5,000. For 2 to 4 family homes, if more than half of the units are income eligible, then NYSERDA considers the entire project to be income eligible. So for example, if a 4-unit home, if we determine the first 2 units are income eligible, then we would consider the entire home as income eligible. We would still need to collect applications from each unit, but we'd only need the income documentation provided for the first 2 units. Next slide, please. For moderate income households, the program provides a 50% cost share toward eligible energy efficiency measures. Unlike low-income households, there is not set pricing for energy efficiency measures. The participating contractor will work with the household to determine the work scope and pricing, with the program ultimately approving the work scope. For a single-family household, the moderate income incentive cap is $5,000. For 2 to 4 family homes, the project is eligible for the initial $5,000. Then each additional income eligible unit is eligible for additional $2,500. Also, like for the low income incentive, if 50% or more of the units are determined to be income eligible, then NYSERDA can consider the whole project to be income eligible. Moderate income households can help offset the balance of the work scope costs with a low interest NYSERDA loan. Interest rates range anywhere from 3.49 to 3.99%. Next slide, please. All right, I'll now briefly walk you through the project experience. As indicated earlier, the intake mechanism for both programs is from the completion of an Empower Plus application. Households can reach out to their regional clean energy hub who can assist with this process if need be. We'll be providing additional information on the hubs following my program overview. Once a household is approved for services, a program contractor will reach out to schedule the energy assessment. Again, this energy assessment is free of charge and will identify opportunities for energy improvements and will educate the customer on how their home uses energy. As part of the assessment, contractors will have the opportunity to install the direct install measures, such as replacing inefficient lighting, swapping out furnace filters, and for low-income households, identifying inefficient refrigerators and freezers for replacement. Following the assessment, the contractor can propose a work scope to NYSERDA for consideration. Next slide, please. Once a project work scope has been submitted, NYSERDA's program implementer Clear Result will review the project, and if the project meets program requirements, an approval will be issued typically within 2 business days. The contractor will be notified of the project approval, allowing them to move forward with scheduling and installing the work. Once the energy efficiency measures have been installed, the household will sign a certificate of completion, and the contractor will submit the project completion paperwork to the program for review, approval, and payment. And as mentioned earlier, following project payment, the household can receive a quality assurance inspection for up to 1 year following the completion of the work. Next slide, please. Here we've provided some useful links to the Empower Plus program website, the income eligibilities, the application, NYSERDA's program manuals, and some links to the clean energy hubs. If you have any questions, you can reach out to 1-86-NYSERDA, or you can also submit an email to info.residential@nyserda.ny.gov. Next slide, please. Okay, I will now turn it over to my colleague, Jessica, who will provide an overview of the regional clean energy hubs.
Thanks, Eric. Hi, my name is Jessica Ortiz. I'm a senior project manager with the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, also known as NYSERDA. New York State is embarking on a transition to an inclusive, clean energy-powered economy. All residents, businesses, and communities across the state will have access to new opportunities to benefit from this transition, including clean energy careers, home improvement, even rebates for businesses and personal transportation. To help you New Yorkers access and navigate these opportunities, NYSERDA funded the establishment of the regional clean energy hubs. Clean energy hubs essentially connect people to the clean energy economy. Next slide. The regional clean energy hubs are located throughout the state. There's one hub in each of the economic development regions of New York State, with the exception of New York City, which has 3 hubs. So there are 12 hubs across the state. Hubs are not a physical location. They're a network of community-based organizations that NYSERDA organizations that have experience with clean energy, energy efficiency, workforce and economic development, education, health, and housing. Next slide. This slide lists the contact information for the clean energy hubs throughout the state. As I mentioned, hubs help and provide information on a number of clean energy resources and opportunities, and they're specifically to help provide that information to individuals, small businesses, affordable housing owners, low to moderate income persons, as well as market rates, so everyone. And a hub can do anything from describe what the clean energy economy means to their community, assisting with job training and employment in the clean energy sector, discuss a home energy audit and why it's useful, help with the Empower Plus application that Eric just walked us through, help someone fill out that application, show what types of energy incentives a person or business may qualify for, share information about electric vehicles, as well as contacting a qualified contractor to perform clean energy upgrades. So, next slide. Hubs connect their community members to those clean energy related programs and resources. They improve energy literacy among residents. They advance solutions to accessing to addressing local barriers in accessing clean energy programs and otherwise engaging in the clean energy economy. They conduct stakeholder engagement and elevate the needs and priorities of disadvantaged communities in the development of NYSERDA's clean energy programs, as well as advancing diversity in the clean energy workforce by connecting residents and small businesses with resources and training opportunities that can lead to jobs. Next slide. The next two slides cover the hub activities in each region of the state. Since we're a bit pressed for time, I'll cover the key activities carried out by the hubs that might interest this group. Throughout outreach and awareness, the hubs are able to participate in existing outreach events to promote clean energy services and resources. In the coming year, the hubs will begin to hold energy literacy workshops throughout the state to educate their communities on how to implement clean energy measures in their households, how to more information on clean energy technologies, and even understanding what their utility bills mean. Next slide. The hubs will also guide their communities, as I mentioned, through programs and the loan application processes that NYSERDA has to offer to effectively complete clean energy projects that improve the comfort and affordability of a customer's home. And as I mentioned before, the hubs will assist in clean energy workforce development by working with local training partners and clean energy businesses to increase community participation in training and apprenticeships. So the regional clean energy hubs have a lot to offer their communities that they serve. And by contacting your regional clean energy hub, you'll be able to be connected to a number of clean energy resources and opportunities. So, next slide. This slide just lists the NYSERDA contacts that are part of the regional clean energy hubs, Lori Clark and myself, Jessica Ortiz. If anybody has any questions about being connected to the regional clean energy hubs or any questions about the program in general. Now I'll turn it back to Alex.
Thank you, Eric and Jessica. We're now at the halfway point of the webinar, and I have two quick reminders. First, we will be taking questions after all the presentations have been given. However, if you are on the webinar, you can type your question into the Q&A field. We will capture that question and address it after the last presentation. Please remember to tag the agency or presenter that you would like to address your question to. And second, today's workshop is being recorded. The recording and slides will be made available after the workshop, and we'll tell you where you can find them just at the end of today's presentation. All right, let's keep it moving. Next up, we have Rose Golden from the New York State Office for the Aging to discuss services for older New Yorkers and their caregivers. Rose, please begin.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being able to participate in this call today and share all of the services that the New York State Office for Aging provides to older adults and their caregivers. Next slide, please. The mission of the New York State Office for Aging is to help older adults be as independent as possible for as long as possible. And this is to keep them in the community where they've lived and maintain their lifestyle within their homes. We do that to empower older adults and their families in partnership with a network of public and private organizations. We are always advocating for cost-effective policies and programs to support the older adults. So how do we do this? We oversee programs and services for older adults and caregivers and persons with disabilities to do what I just mentioned as our mission. The New York State Office for Aging carries out its services through a network of partnerships. We have 59 area agencies on aging. The majority of them are county-based. They are not run by NYSOFA, but rather we are partners with them and fund them. Of the 59, we have 4 not-for-profits and 2 Indian nations. Those organizations then work with about 1,200 people, 1,200 community organizations to carry out services. We have 20 core services and they're growing every day. Next slide, please. One of the biggest things we do as the Office for Aging is combat ageism and stereotypes. I don't think any of us want to hear that we're 60 or 65 and then we're one of those older adults. We still maintain who we are as individuals. We also work really hard because the view in the community is that older adults are frail, need help, and are often a financial drain on the community. But here's the facts. There are 4.6 million New Yorkers aged 60 plus. That ranks us fourth in the nation. 935,000 individuals 60 plus contribute 495 million hours of community service which results in an economic value of $13.8 billion. 54% of individuals age 60 own their own homes, have no mortgage, and they're contributing directly to the local tax base. This next one, 4 million caregivers, average age of 64, provide unpaid care for loved ones at a total market value of $32 billion. Without these caregivers, we are sure that our healthcare system would probably collapse. Individuals 50 plus account for most of the volunteering, philanthropy, entrepreneurs, and donation activities in the U.S. And then 80% of New York State retirement system payouts stay in New York. So really, older adults don't drain your community, but they are a financial pillar, living and purchasing services in the community. Next slide, please. One of the things that the New York State Office for Aging has really worked hard on over the last several years to address winter weather and particularly emergency preparedness and response is being very aware that all the wonderful services that are in place, many of which you're hearing about today, if there's a winter emergency and power is out, roads are closed and healthcare workers can't get to the homes, meals can't get out, we need to be prepared for that and ready to respond. So we have actively been working with our aging network in the community that I talked about, community partners. We're particularly involved with the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. We sit on the what's called ESF6, which is the human services entity that addresses emergencies. Older adults are particularly impacted by emergencies, and winter weather emergencies can be particularly difficult. Next slide, please. So one thing we did this year that I encourage anybody on the phone to follow through and have come to your community, this is, we partnered with the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services on a citizen preparedness for trainings. And they were designed specifically for older adults and their needs in emergencies. The citizen preparedness course gave residents tools and resources to prepare for any type of disaster. I work disaster response myself, and many of the things I had not thought about for me personally and for my home. The trainings were led by the New York National Guard, working with experts from DISHES, which is the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. A key component of the training was the distribution of a free New York State disaster preparedness kits. They're very robust and they provide many things for people such as goggles, gloves, a radio, emergency blankets. So we're working to help New Yorkers be the best prepared citizens in the country during storms. And I really encourage anybody who would like to participate to go to this link, and you can have it set up in your local community. Next slide, please. So we've talked a little bit about the different things we do with cold weather, but we really were very happy to be invited today to talk about all the services that we provide, because when you're in there working with families, you'll often see situations that you warrant a little more support. Many people have heard of the home delivered meal program or Meals on Wheels. That is from the Office for Aging. We also have congregate meal sites where people gather to have a meal with other older adults. And we have started a new program called Grab and Go during the pandemic, which will stay, where people can actually stop by a center and pick up food and go eat it where they would like to eat it. We do nutrition counseling and education. We have senior center programming. We have evidence-based interventions such as fall prevention, Tai Chi. These are interventions that have been, research has proven them to improve health and wellness for participants. We have, without going through all of them, respite for caregivers. We have programs that serve care receivers, and we have a very robust program serving directly the caregiver in their role as taking care of someone. We have, as you can see, legal services, home modifications and repair is part of our services. We do a lot of information and assistance and hooking people up with SNAP and HEAP. And we have something called New York Connects, which is a program that you can call in and find out about any service in your local community, and it will direct you to the right entity to help you with that support. I want to just highlight that the Health Insurance Information Counseling Program is a fantastic program. It has trained staff and volunteers in every county that helps older adults go through their options for insurance, and also to look at Advantage plans. And then because we don't sell it, we're unbiased and can just look at what you might need. We do some home care, case management, where we can coordinate services. We have social adult daycares where people can go for the day and then come home. Transportation to doctor's appointments. We do have an employment program for low-income older adults, 55 plus. And our long-term care ombudsman program is the program that represents older adults and their families in long-term care facilities. Next slide, please. So our infrastructure by which we provide these services, we talked earlier about the 59 area agencies on aging. They have around 2,000 local community-based organizations helping them. In the state, we have 777 senior centers, 819 congregate meal sites, which is ever-changing and growing or switching to grab and go now. There's 315 central kitchens that book meals out. We have just about 2,057 home-delivered meal routes. We are the largest meal program for the elderly is the name of the program. We do not use elderly at New York State Office for Aging, but rather older adult. But we are the largest program in the nation. And we have the highest level of evidence-based program, which has served just about 36,000 older adults. Next slide, please. Our strength is that we're well known in the community. We're a trusted, established network who've been serving, vulnerable populations with a 40-year record of strong community-based relationships. That is at the core of our service provision, which I hear is at the core of pretty much everybody on the call. We have experience with hospital transitions. Someone comes out of the hospital and needs meals, needs an aid or needs transportation. We provide and work with the hospitals on that transition. We work on cultural and linguistic competence. We have a holistic approach. We're home-based. We're community-based services that keep people in their home. And we're a single point of entry for individuals needing an array of support services. We serve clients for life, not episode focused. So we're not insurance driven, and we're able to keep people in the community for a very long time in a very cost-effective manner. Next slide, please. So here's some links connecting with help and assistance. We have a directory of AAA means Area Agency on Aging, and there's one in every county, as I mentioned, and that link would send you to a location where you can find the Office for Aging in your county. I mentioned earlier the Health Insurance Information Counseling Assistance Program. It is a diamond in the rough. It is phenomenal. It really helps people take a look at their long-term care insurance. And we have the long-term care ombudsman program I mentioned, which helps older adults and people with disabilities who live in facility settings, understand and exercise their rights. Next slide, please. New York Connects is our, people often think of as a one-stop for information about long-term care services in every community. If you reach out to New York Connects, you'll be linked with your community. And there's also a statewide telephone as well. I want to thank you very much for letting us participate in this presentation, and know that we're there to assist all of you as you look for services for older adults and their families. I'm going to turn it back to Alex.
Thank you, Rose. I will now turn it over to my Department of Public Service colleagues. First up is Timothy Marsh to discuss the Energy Affordability Program. After Tim, Jill Wasser and Maribel Rivera will discuss consumer outreach programs. Tim, please begin.
Thanks, Alex. Good afternoon. My name is Timothy Marsh with the Department of Public Service. I'll be discussing the utility affordability programs, but first we'll do a brief description of the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission regulates the state's electric, gas, steam, telecommunications, and water utilities. They also oversee the cable industry. Part of the Commission's mission is to ensure safe, secure, and reliable service at just and reasonable rates. Next slide. In 2016, the Public Service Commission, or PSC, established a statewide low-income bill discount program for major electric and gas investor-owned utilities. These discounts helped customers move towards a 6% energy burden. All customers are automatically enrolled when participating in the Home Energy Assistance Program, but there are some other programs that will also enroll a customer in the Energy Assistance Program. There's also a reconnection fee waiver component. Next slide. When customers are enrolled in the affordability program, they're automatically enrolled in the utilities budget billing plan, but a customer can opt out of that by contacting their utility. In August of 2021, the Commission issued an order that made program improvements. The modified discount calculation better reflects actual customer data. Eligibility for the programs was expanded to create a uniform process and application to allow a customer to self-certify for program enrollment. Next slide. As discussed earlier, enrollment in the Energy Affordability Program occurs when customers are enrolled in various assistance programs. For example, this is a list of National Grid's qualifying programs, and we are working to make sure that this is universal for all utilities. Next slide. If the utility customers are not automatically enrolled in the EAP and are receiving benefits from a qualified program, contact the utility phone, email, or other service provided by the utility, such as a chat function. All utilities have outreach and education programs, which include various methods of dispensing low-income program information to customers. Next slide. Each major utility's website have information relating to low-income assistance programs. And like we said before, participants will be sent these slides for reference. Next slide. In May of 2023, the Department of Public Service, in consultation with the Energy Affordability Policy Working Group, were tasked with distributing $200 million in appropriations to utility customers. The goal of this program is to address the costs of utility affordability programs and provide prompt assistance to utility customers. Staff from DPS and the stakeholders in the working group are currently discussing methods to distribute the appropriation to utility customers. Next slide, please. Included as part of that budget appropriation is an expanded discount program and an EAP guarantee pilot. The expanded discount program is designed to provide moderate income customers with bill relief. These customers are just above the criteria for EAP participation. The EAP working group has ongoing meetings to discuss the criteria and procedures required to implement the expanded discount program. The EAP Guarantee Pilot is designed to provide an energy affordability guarantee for utility customers who are in the Empower Plus program mentioned earlier by NYSERDA. The EAP Guarantee subgroup is discussing the considerations necessary to design and implement the EAP Guarantee Pilot to increase access to heat pump solutions for low-income customers, while providing necessary supports to ensure household energy burdens do not exceed 6%. The outcome from this pilot are expected to inform the development of a broader strategy for electrifying low to moderate income homes across New York State. I'll now pass the mic to Jill.
Thank you so much, Timothy, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. I am Jill Wasser. I'm a member of the Outreach and Education team at the Department of Public Service Long Island office. And I just want to take this opportunity to reintroduce our Department of Public Service Long Island office. The office was established after the LIPA Reform Act and is mainly responsible for the oversight of electric service provided by PSEG Long Island. But also, our Long Island office, we investigate complaints on behalf of Long Island ratepayers, including electric, gas, water, and cable. We also enforce statewide consumer protections under the Home Energy Fair Practices Act, otherwise known as HEFPA. And we also do consumer outreach. Our outreach team, which I, again, am a part of, conducts consumer presentations and exhibits at community events. And we have a lot of resources available for consumers, particularly for the winter. So please feel free to visit our webpage early and often at dps.ny.gov/Long Island. And thank you so much. And now I will turn it over to Maribel.
Thank you, Jill. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maribel Rivera, and I am with the Department's Outreach and Education section. The Department of Public Service's Winter Outreach and Education campaign will use a variety of tools to reach utility consumers, including exhibits, presentations, partnerships with service organizations and local governments, and platforms such as social media channels and the department's website. As mentioned previously, the purpose of this workshop is to provide a one-stop shopping forum for information, materials, and resources that can help you and your constituents during the winter season. Similarly, at our department website, we have a dedicated page for winter preparedness, which can be reached by using the short URL listed on that slide. This page has a lot of information that you've heard during this workshop, including ways to manage winter bills, the financial assistance programs, consumer protections, and energy efficiency tips. The page has links to New York State and utility assistance programs, as well as copies of Department of Public Service consumer publications in multiple languages. The materials can be downloaded and printed, or hard copies can be ordered from our webpage. Okay, next slide. Department staff distributes consumer information through our grassroots outreach program, including exhibits at public events such as senior expos, health fairs, and home shows. We also work collaboratively with our partner New York State agencies to host Winter Preparedness One-Stop Shopping event. Today's virtual workshop is the start of our winter effort, which will continue throughout the coming months. Today's workshop and the one in January targeted to elected officials and consumer groups so that they can share the program information with your constituents. To reach consumers with hand-on assistance about available resources, this multi-agency partnership will be taking our one-stop shopping event on the road to share winter preparedness information with New Yorkers in person. These energy fairs will allow consumers an opportunity to discuss available programs, how they qualify, and how they may enroll. 3 events are planned for December, As you can see, the dates and the locations on the slide. Additional locations will be added later on in January. Lastly, the Department of Public Service Outreach is available for presentations about our energy and winter management information. If you have a meeting or an event that your organization or community would like us to exhibit or give a presentation, please contact us at consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov, which on the screen, okay? And that's the end of my presentation. I'm going to turn it over to Alex. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tim, Jill, and Maribel. Our last speaker today is from the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. Beth Natali will discuss the Home Energy Assistance Program, or HEAP. Beth, please begin.
Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Beth Natali from the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. I am a supervisor, excuse me. I am a supervisor in the Home Energy Assistance Program. We want to thank DPS for hosting these workshops and providing a platform for all of these agencies to come together and present on this information. And today I'll be providing you with an overview of the Home Energy Assistance Program. Next slide, please. Okay, on Tuesday, October 24th, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families announced $3.7 billion of funding for federal fiscal year 2024 under the Continuing Appropriations Act and other Extensions Act signed on September 30th, 2024, as well as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. $1.3 billion of regular funds were appropriated under the Department of Health and Human Services Appropriations Act, and about $2.3 billion of additional funds were appropriated under the Disaster Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, and $100 million is funded under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. New York State then was awarded a little bit less than 10% of these funds, so about $360 million, which is what you see on your screen there. OCS released 90% of continuing resolution funds and 100% of infrastructure funds. And then for reference, LIHEAP was funded at $6.1 billion in 2023. We did expect lower funding amount this year due to the loss of emergency and supplemental LIHEAP funding that we received over the last 3 years. So for that reason, we did plan a more conservative program for this upcoming 23-24 program year. Next slide, please. So the low income home energy assistance program is a federally funded energy assistance program intended to assist low income households in meeting their immediate home energy needs. This year, we are able to offer the 5 benefits that are listed on your screen. The regular component opened on November 1st, and then the emergency component is scheduled to open on January 2nd of 2024. Currently, the heating equipment repair and replacement benefits are offered year-round, so households that are facing a no-heat emergency due to inoperable or unsafe heating equipment can have their heating systems repaired or replaced, no matter what time of the year it is. And we also offer our clean and tune benefit year-round as well, so homeowners can keep their heating equipment operating at peak efficiency. The cooling benefit for this program year is scheduled to open on April 15th of 2024. Next slide, please. New York State elects to set income guidelines at the maximum allowable levels under the federal statute. So that's the tier 2 that you see on your screen. Maximum income guidelines are set at 60% of state median income for households that have 1 to 11 individuals, and then at 150% of the federal poverty level for households with 12 or more individuals. And we did increase these income guidelines slightly from the 22-23 program year. Next slide, please. These are the base benefit amounts for the 23-24 program year. This is what was originally planned for the 22-23 program year. As you may remember, last year, the base benefit amounts for regular were increased in December of 2022 when New York State received additional disaster relief funds. And then we issued a supplement to households to receive a smaller benefit on top of their regular base benefit. As I mentioned before, we don't expect to receive that supplemental funding this year, so we brought the base benefit back amounts to what they were originally planned for the 22-23 program year. So those amounts for this upcoming year is $900 for households who heat with oil, kerosene, or propane, $635 for wood, coal, or other deliverables, and then $400 for natural gas or electric. Heating benefits are always paid directly to the household's heating vendor. Households may be eligible for add-ons based on their household circumstances. And households with income in Tier 1 that you saw on the screen before us receive an additional $41. Households with a vulnerable member receive an additional $35, and this add-on is the same as last year. Vulnerable households contain someone who is age 60 or older or younger than 6, or someone who is disabled as defined by HEAP. And just to note that vulnerable add-on is per household, it's not per vulnerable member. Households can receive either or both of those add-ons for a total of $76 on top of their base benefit amount. So that brings the maximum deliverable benefit with both add-ons to $976. Next slide, please. We provide flyers, brochures, and posters to promote HEAP benefits. These publications, as well as a list of other HEAP publications, are available for ordering through OTDA using the address that's on your screen. And as they mentioned before, these will be disseminated to the people on the call, so you'll be able to see that link. I know it's a little bit small right now. Any outreach or information that you can provide on HEAP to the people in your community is always helpful and appreciated. And we would really like to provide you with some outreach materials to do so. Next slide, please. So if someone in your community would like to apply for a HEAP benefit, they can do so in the county where they reside. Currently, applicants may apply for regular benefits as well as hair and clean and tune. The application requirements for each benefits do vary, so applicants should contact their local Department of Social Services and they can help explain the eligibility requirements for each different component. The web address with contact information for each district is on your screen. So applications for regular benefits can be applied for online. That's mybenefits.ny.gov. This is only for the regular benefit component. You can't apply online for any other benefit component. And that's only for applicants who do not live in New York City. Residents of New York City can also screen for benefits and apply online, and that link is on the screen as well. That's access.nyc.gov. And next slide, please. And that is the conclusion of today's presentation on HEAP. Thank you again for having us here. And if you need our contact information, that is on the screen. I believe our email address and phone number is listed. And please contact us if you have any questions or if you would like some information on how to help those people in your community. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it back over to Alex.
Thank you, Beth. That concludes the presentation portion of today's workshop. As a reminder, the recordings of today's workshop will be available on the Department of Public Service website and on the department's YouTube channel in a few days. You can also find information about the upcoming in-person events on the Department of Public Service website. That's www.dps.ny.gov/winter. Again, dps.ny.gov/winter. That's where you can find out about the in-person energy fairs and also the slides. All right, we'll move on to the question and answer section of today's program. For those folks who've called into the workshop today, you can press *3 on your phone and that'll raise your hand electronically so we can see it. And then we'll call on you and you can ask your question. And just a reminder, please, if you remember, say the name of the agency or program related to your question so we can get the correct person to answer. Again, press *3 on your phone to raise your hand, and a team member will unmute you and you can ask your question. All right, once again, *3 on your phone to raise your hand if you want to ask a question. All right, looks like we have a raised hand. I'll let my colleagues unmute the caller.
The caller has been unmuted.
This is Tom Vitale from NTech Associates in Syracuse. I'm just wondering if how the flow of all this is going to be processed. You know, is there a seamless? Is this all happening through the hub, or what? How will this work?
Is that a question for a specific agency, or are you just a question generally about the programs that were offered today?
Yeah, there's just a whole host of programs. I was unable to get on the web, so I'm just trying to get a sense of how things are how the flow of it's going to go. I mean, there's just a whole host of benefits that were just put out in the airways here, but I don't know the action steps of what's coming around the corner as to how it's going to be, how the flow of it's going to work. Is there anybody that can, speak to that?
Sure. Well, I will try to answer that question. So, what the presenters offered today was information about numerous programs that are offered by different agencies, right? So, some of the programs are available to individuals. Some of the programs have eligibility criteria. So, if one or more of the programs interest you or someone you know or a constituent, you would probably need to connect with the agency that offers the program to find out about the eligibility and other criteria in order to obtain the benefit. I think there are a couple of the agencies here that have more like one-stop shopping. You know, NYSERDA comes to mind with their energy hubs, where they actually have a point of contact for people to go to. And I think a number of programs also, there's some delegation to local agencies, like what NYSOFA was talking about, right? So they partner with a lot of local agencies to deliver these programs. So it really depends on the program you're interested in.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I'm going to break in here too and say, and ask whether you received the slides in advance of the webinar. Because anybody
I
who
did.
Okay.
I did, but I didn't have a chance to go through them. So unfortunately, I couldn't join the webinar because it wouldn't let me in. So.
Yeah. So each agency has prepared a set of slides. So as Alex was saying, you can go through the slides and the programs that you're interested in, or want more information about. There's contact information for each agency. And the NYSERDA, I think, has something to add about their regional hubs. NYSERDA?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, this is Jessica Ortiz from NYSERDA. I'm happy to hear that you received the slides, because in the slides, you'll see a contact list for who your regional clean energy hub is based on the region that you live in. And so they can help you navigate the programs that were presented today based on like what your eligibility criteria is. So if you contact your regional clean energy hub, they can help you with the Empower Plus program, heat, weatherization, those kinds of programs.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Jessica. All right. Any other questions out there? Just press *3 on your phone to let us know you have a question. We'll leave it open for 1 more minute. Press *3 on your phone if you have a question. Looks like we have a raised hand here.
Please proceed. Your mic is open.
Yeah, thank you all so much for your time and the information, so well organized. I'm wondering, what is the, expected approval time? These are wonderful resources, but I myself applied back in July for the reduced, Wi-Fi cost. And I was told by Optum that, it was going to take like 1 month at least to look at me, and then it was going to be like another statement. It was going to be at least 2. Now it's November. I've gotten no discount, and I don't know, if I just keep calling them, I'm going like up against a wall, or who? Like, is that typical?
If I may,
Yeah.
if you're having a problem with getting your affordable connectivity plan with Optimum, is that your wireless connection? You may want to get in touch, right? You may want to get in touch with the ACP program.
ACP. Okay.
Yeah. You can reach out to me. My name is Maribel Rivera. You have a pen and paper?
I am writing it down. Yep.
Okay. It's Maribel, M-A-R-I-B-E-L. Dot Rivera, R-I-V as in Victor, E-R-A, at dps.ny.gov.
Okay.
Send me the information. I'll let you know how to get it resolved, okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I do think there was a broader question here that I'm going to punt to the agencies with programs. Is there a typical time frame from start to finish to apply for a program and then get it?
So this is Beth Natale from the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. We run the HEAP program. For HEAP, the district offices have 30 days from the time that you apply to issue an eligibility decision. Often that's done a lot sooner than that. If an applicant is in an emergency situation, there's different regulations surrounding that. So if someone is in a crisis emergency, the districts have 18 to 48 hours to resolve that emergency, to make sure that that applicant has access to safe heat, or if they need to be relocated to some place that is warm. And then if they are in a life-threatening emergency, which means that they have no access to heat, they have no heat in their home at all, the districts need to resolve that emergency within 24 hours.
This is Eric from NYSERDA. Typically, we have a couple different ways for folks to apply. If they submit a paper application that gets mailed in, that could be a week turnaround before it's approved. And if they apply online, it's usually a couple of days. And then approval is dependent on whether the application is completed and the extra or all the required information is submitted. But it's typically couple of days if that is the case.
Thanks, everyone. Did that answer your question, ma'am?
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, *3 on your phone if you have a question for any of the presenters here today. I will leave it open for 30 more seconds. All right, I don't see any other hands, so we will move to the conclusion. I want to thank, on behalf of today's panelists, I want to thank every one of you for attending today's workshop and bearing with us with the technical difficulties. The slides and recordings will be posted to the Department of Public Service website, which once again is dps.ny.gov/winter. Again, dps.ny.gov/winter. If you did not receive a copy of the slides prior to the event, a copy will be sent to participants who joined through the WebEx. If you joined by phone and would like to receive a copy, you can request a copy of the slides by emailing consumer.outreach@dps.ny.gov or visiting our website, again, dps.ny.gov/winter. Wishing you a safe and warm winter. This concludes the webinar today. Thank you.